And in this show, you all know that I'm about storytelling, the impact of stories, and why we need to tell our stories. I'm so honored to have Jeff D. Martin in the studio with me. The reason being, this book knew me. I I think I will give a backstory how I glanced across your post on Facebook and I started digging through, and it's like, oh wow, wow, I need to get this book. My intention, the beginning, was on the children's literature, not
Okay.
this book.
Okay.
However, I became curious about this book, 10 Men, 10 Stories of Perseverance. And you all know the Black Canadian or Black male narrative, it's so straught with, police brutality, metro housing. Basically, the Black man has been, or Black boy has been relegated to the bottom of the pile. And as a mother of a Black boy, it's like, no, these men have made it somehow. What is their story? So that, Jeff, is the reason why I said I need this book and I need to read it, and also immigrating into the same kind of the same catchment area. It's like, wow, this is a side that I was unaware of because my head was buried in books at U of T. So thank you for bringing these beautiful souls together, writing this powerful narrative of motivation, inspiration. But my first question is why?
Well, first and foremost, Nana, yeah, I gotta say thank you so much for allowing me on your platform. I'm excited to share today with your viewers, with your followers, inspire them through their own journey. Why? Why did I create this book, New Me 10 Men, 10 Stories of Perseverance? Well, I'll be honest, I was kind of sitting in bed, lying in bed one day and falling asleep. And I find that's when a lot of my ideas come to me when I'm kind of in between being awake and being asleep. And this idea
Mm,
came to me in regards to creating a book because I was looking to create my own book. Um, but it came to
mhm,
me, what if I was to get other people involved? What if I was to get other authors? Because the truth is that someone could read my story and not relate. I've read so many books, and there's some I
mhm,
really love, and there's some I don't really relate to. But if I was to have more than one author in the same book, someone may read my
mhm,
story and may not like it, but they might love someone else's story. They can relate to somebody else's story. They can really,
mhm,
dive into another person's story. And so,
mhm,
again, the idea came to me to look for people, other men who are out there doing great work in the community, who actually
mhm,
care, and
mhm,
have us come together to create this anthology, this book. And
mhm,
so 10 Men is exactly what it is. 10 Men, 10 Stories of Perseverance. That's exactly what it is. When the title says exactly what it is. There's 10
yeah,
of us who've all written a chapter, and we
yeah,
speak about stories about our own lives, but more importantly, how we were people, whether you're looking
mhm,
for a spouse. There's something in here that speaks to the hearts and minds of what Black men not only have what we continue to go through. But again, it's not about just the stories
yeah,
of us falling down. You can read about that or hear about that all day. It's about how we got back up in these difficult
yes,
circumstances. And then we have lessons that
yes,
we've taken from our own difficulty that someone else can use for their life as
yes,
well. So, you can read the book and then, 2 or 3 years
yes,
later, you may go back to it. You may not want to read it at the same time, but the lessons are there in the back of each
mhm,
chapter that you can use to apply to your own
mhm,
life. And again, we wrote this book because we just want to simply be a part of the change. We want to see the next generation. We want to see the generation
yeah,
now who's struggling in circumstances to become great. That's why we
mhm,
wrote this book.
yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for writing this book. It just opened my eyes to, so to speak, to issues that individuals were going through. Key for me as well is the title, Perseverance. My question to you is that how have your personal experiences, as a Black man shaped your understanding and your approach to
Thank
perseverance?
you.
How have your personal experiences as a Black man shaped your understanding and approach to perseverance, especially being in this, where we are, Canada?
In Canada, um, it's very similar to the barbershops in the UK. It's very similar to the barbershops. The conversation is always the same. The conversation is about women and it's about sport. The only thing that changes is the accent based on where you are, the country that you're in, but the conversation always stays the same. Men often don't share.
Mm-hmm.
Men often don't speak about their vulnerabilities. Men often don't speak about things that hurt them because we've been raised to continue to keep going regardless of what we might be going through. And so we often don't
Mm-hmm.
share the problems that we face, the difficulties that we go through. At some point in time, men had become the stats on men in regards to suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Men surpass women. I believe it's by 1/3. Like men
Wow.
tend to commit suicide at a higher rates than women. And it's the
Mhm.
same thing within the Black community, not only just within men as a whole, but in the Black community as well, because again, men do not speak, men do not share, men, it's not cool to see a therapist. And I'm glad I'm seeing the narrative changing
Change.
now in
Yeah.
this generation that we're in. But
Mhm.
generally speaking, men hold on to things. And because we there's a narrative that if you cry, if you talk about something that's you, then you're soft. And no man wants to
Yes.
come across as being.
As
And so,
soft.
again, yeah, important to write this book because I want to show men that it's okay to be open. It's okay to be vulnerable. This is a
Mhm.
part of my perseverance today. It's always a part of my perseverance. And trust me, I'm still working at it. I still need to open more. I still need to
Yes.
share more, talk to my children more. I need to talk to my wife more. There's so much more that I need to do, but it starts with the problem.
Mhm.
And then we recognize the problem, then you can start working towards making changes. So my journey now in terms of perseverance, it's pushing through because I have to, but I can get help
Mhm.
along my own journey. I can get help
Mhm.
along the way,
Mhm.
ask for help, and I don't have to be shy or timid to ask for help because the same brother who's beside me who isn't asking for help, he's
Yes.
struggling with the same things as well. And so when we can
Yes.
be more
Yes.
open, honest to each other, and ask for that help, get that help with the therapist, get that help with the doctor, get that help financially, mentally, spiritually, whatever we
Mhm.
need, it simply just makes us better.
Yes. 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 Great. Wow. Man, I feel like you should be preaching. I feel like you
Anytime,
should
you let me
take me
know.
to church. I think with
Let's do
our
it. And the church says,
church
Amen.
institutions, they need this. They need this. They need this because you're
Oh,
talking, and
I'm grateful.
it keeps coming to me that culturally, many of us, even though we're coming from different places, but many of us, Black people, we Black men have been told, as you said, men don't cry, or you are a man, you are not supposed to cry. It's not something that I was so averse to, but when I came here, I began to hear that, I began to see that machoism a lot. And
Mm,
young men don't have the opportunity to listen and sit at the foot of elders to learn.
mm,
But when I picked this book up, the other reason it got to me is that it's doing exactly that.
yes.
This generation is here. If the next generation picks up the book and read this, they will get to listen to your voice. More so, many of the authors in the book are also. I'm kind of curious. Is there a particular story that you can share with us that um, help you go through a challenging situation or anything of that nature? I hope I'm not putting you on the
Yeah,
spot.
of course. No, no, that's fine. That's fine. We all pretty much every day. They say that in regards to the challenges we have, we're either just starting a challenge, we're in the middle of a challenge, coming
Mm-hmm,
out of a challenge. So we're
mm-hmm,
always going through some type of challenge. And I believe that in every
mm-hmm,
challenge, we can use those lessons, as difficult as they are. We can use
mm-hmm,
it, enhance our own life to learn the lessons, and then we can use it to help other
mm-hmm,
people to become better. So,
mm-hmm,
my story in the book is called Ugly Gift. And I call it gift because in life we receive gifts. We receive presents, birthdays, Christmas, things of that nature. And, but sometimes the gifts we receive are
mm-hmm.
ugly. Sometimes it's from the car accidents to
Yes.
diagnosis of cancer to
Mm-hmm.
family or
Pleasure.
friends passing away. These things that are given
Yes.
to us are technically gifts, and some of them are
Yeah.
downright ugly. But
Mm-hmm.
I also believe gifts, there's lessons that we can learn. So in the
Mm-hmm.
book, I share about my cousin Omar, who many years
Mm-hmm.
ago was killed. He was gunned down and killed. He was murdered in the city of Toronto.
Mm.
And I talk about my struggle and how
Mhm.
difficulty that I had going through that. But ultimately, I
Mhm.
recognize, through a conversation someone had with me, is that all of us, no matter what's going on, we give out energy. Some of us
Mhm.
have high energy, some of us have low energy, but that energy, positive or negative, and we get to choose how the energy is going to show up in the world. So with my struggle in terms of losing my cousin, as difficult and as painful as that was, I recognized that there was an energy that I had, and I choose how it shows up. So I could have easily gone out there and to go out there and do something real stupid and end up in prison, and then you and I, none of y'all would not be having this conversation. But
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, but because I decided to use that energy differently, I use that energy to start knocking on doors at schools and trying to talk to our kids to tell them that they don't need to pick up a gun. They don't need to sell drugs. Our
Mm.
young women, you don't have to get pregnant because you're not getting love at home and you want someone to love you. It's an opportunity to use my difficulty change. And all of us again have the same opportunity, but what do we do with that opportunity? And so
Ah.
it was in
Mm.
that difficulty, it was yes, yes. And so it was in that difficulty that I realized that it is my responsibility to be a part of the change. Many of us can sit on the sidelines. We can, wait our turn. We can, when I have enough money, I'll do this. Or when
Mhm.
I get this certain job, I'll do this. When I have this certain status, I'll do this. But it's about starting where you are. It's about trying to make a difference in your community, in your family, in your inner circle, starting where you are today. You can have a low level job or you can have a high level job. It's not about the job and how much money you make. It's how much you're willing to give, how much you're willing to serve, how much you're your
Mhm.
community, to your family. And so,
Mhm.
yes, even in that difficult
Mhm.
situation of losing Omar, I recognize that, through the help of speaking with some people, I reckon
Mhm.
energy I had, it was my responsibility to
Mhm.
use it and to go out there and do something positive. And so since then, I've
Mhm.
written this book, of course. I've written the children's books, and I've been
Yes.
speaking all over North America, going out and
Yes.
really speaking to our kids in schools, high schools, colleges,
Mhm.
universities, and corporations as
Mhm.
well. And just sharing a positive
Mhm.
message, allowing people to realize
Mhm.
that they are greater than their difficulties, that their
Mhm.
mistakes do not define them, that they are able to go
Yes.
out to this world and show the world who they are while their heart is still beating. And I believe that's really
Ah.
what I've been doing, based on my own difficulty that I had to go through.
Thank you. Thank you. When you started talking about Omar, I went this way. And the reason that I did so is that when I was reading your book, I put St. Margaret's pastor's experience right beside Omar's name.
Mm. And there you go. We all experience difficulties in life. And maybe someone who's listening right now, who's watching, maybe for you, maybe you haven't lost a loved one to violence. And I'm really hoping that is the you haven't. But you've perhaps lost someone to cancer. You've lost someone to
Mhm,
COVID. Perhaps you've had a young
mhm,
person in your life make some really horrible decisions. Perhaps you have made some horrible
mhm,
decisions, and now you feel that the
mhm,
mistakes continue to define you. You can't shake those mistakes that you made 10, 12, 15 years ago. But again, I really do
mhm,
believe that we have an opportunity to take those lessons and really make our life
mhm,
better. So Nana, yeah, the book is
mhm.
called New Me, and it has two titles. It
You
has
mean?
New Me. So you have
Yeah.
KNEW for new and
Yes,
NEW.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Is it upside down or this way?
No,
I
the
don't
first way.
even know.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
Yes.
So
Okay.
so
New me. Yes.
when we're talking about New Me, NEW,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes the difficulties you go through in life, you have to die to the old you for the
Oh, you.
new you to be born. So the old
Mm-hmm.
me has to die for the new me to be born.
New.
Pulling on those negative thoughts, those negative for the new you to be born, new me to be born. And then this KNEW, that really
Mm-hmm.
verse 5, it says, before I knew you.
Mm-hmm.
I knew you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it means that the
Okay.
creator knew you before you were even on this planet.
The-
So it means that you have a
Yes.
greater path and realize because you've been seen, you've been called to be here. I don't think any of
Mm-hmm.
us, none of you, are here by.
I believe so as
I
well.
think
We are
that
not
we're
here
for
by
a reason and for a
accident
purpose. It's happening.
because it is our intention to share this positive message with the community. So it is happening. And me, I'm supercharged and super excited because Black narratives are very important to me. And like I always say, if the lion does not learn to tell his story, the hunt will forever glorify the hunter. So this
Mm,
is a time to tell our stories. And we are storytelling people. We learn through stories,
yes.
and it's something that was taken, from us. As much as we add in the written word to it, oral stories, just like what we're doing, also have a reverberating impact on us. What you tell me as a positive message gets stuck in my heart, in my head, in my heart, in my soul, in my spirit, so that when I step out, I can share with somebody, or I can tell somebody, listen to Jeff D. Martin. He has something to share with you. So before we got lost, please continue. See, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Oh man. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, as I was saying, having two titles, the second
Mhm.
one being
Yes.
and being KNEW, it talks
Mhm.
about the fact that that we were recognized. I knew you before you were, and so it just means there's a greater calling on your life. And as I
Mhm.
was saying earlier, I really do think sometimes, why was I not born in 1481, or why was I not born in 3008?
Mm,
I believe that I was called to be here
mm,
at this moment in time. Everybody who's listening at the experience COVID, you're called to experience 2020 and the racial unrest. You are called here to help
mhm,
you to make a difference in the world. There are many of us who are on this planet, but the
mhm.
truth is some type of difference one way or the other. It's important for us to bring something to this world. We bring something to the planet.
Yeah. That ties into finding purpose. So, as at the moment, a young man comes to you and you've been talking and talking, you've been encouraging, and it's like, I still don't get it. I still don't know what my purpose is in life. And it's not even the young people, even some of us older people. It took us time. Yes. What would you tell such a person?
So
when a young person comes to you, a young person that you've been coaching or motivating, advising, comes to you, it's like, oh, Jeff, I still don't know, it's like what my purpose is. And
That is a great question. When someone is searching for meaning for their life, when someone is searching for their purpose, they're trying to figure out what they want to do in this world, that really even goes beyond their job. It goes beyond what they do as a career. Trying to figure out what they want
Mhm,
while they're here. There's three questions plate, and I asked them to. These questions can be big, they can be difficult, but I believe when you're looking for anything, you'll find it. And when you continue to ask yourself these three questions,
mhm,
the answer will eventually come to you, and it will shift as you change seasons in your life. But the
mhm,
answers will come to you. The first question is who. I get to choose who I am. I get
mm,
to choose what I represent while I'm here. I get to choose that. I had a high school counselor who told me that I wasn't smart enough to achieve. I've gone on and achieved quite a bit. And this is not because I allowed him to define me. This is not because I allowed myself to define me. I define who I am. So ask the question, who am I? The second question is, what do I
mhm,
want? What is it that you truly
mm,
want? There's a saying that says, choose your greatness. Somebody else will choose your mediocrity. So you get to choose,
mm,
what do I want? What do I want from my life? Like, what impact do I want to make while I'm
mhm,
here? The third one is, what
mhm,
is my purpose? What is my purpose? And
mhm,
again, this one might be the biggest one out of all three. But again, when we continue to ask ourselves these questions, I believe that the answers eventually will come to you. Again, what is my purpose? Like,
mhm,
why am I here now? Like, what am I here to do?
mhm,
As I asked earlier, why
mhm,
was I not born at a different time? Why am I at this age now, experiencing
mhm,
again the end of COVID, experiencing what the world is offering now? Like, why am I experiencing this now? You can sit back
mhm,
and watch some of the old basketball games and you could see, people have afros and they look a lot different. Why was I not born back?
mhm,
Why was I born now?
mhm,
There's a bigger purpose for your life. We can again continue to ask ourselves the questions, who am I want and what is my purpose? If we ask ourselves questions in the still of the quiet of our mind, if we ask ourselves these questions every single day, some days you're not going to have answers. Some days you're going to have plenty of answers. Some days you're
mhm,
not going to be able to verbalize it, but you're going to
mhm,
feel your answers. But when you're looking for
mhm.
something, you're going to find it. And I believe when we can stay the course and ask ourselves those three questions, it helps us clarity on who we are and what we want in the world and the impact that we can make while we're still here.
Wow, this is amazing. Mm. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Oh my goodness. It's not Sunday, but you fill in my soul. You fill in my soul. Thank you so much.
uh,
You
let's
know,
go. Won't he do
it,
it?
it, it, it's unfortunate. Like, I've been in this country for a quarter of a century. And when I first stepped foot here, went to university, you know, downtown, sometimes you're the only Black person in class.
Yes.
But sometimes what I say is that not everybody has that in them. And some people allow life to take so much control over. I So we are here. We're talking about Black men and perseverance, but there's also systematic racism and social injustice issues. Mm, this is right. How would advise some of our young men to deal with some of these things? Because it's a
That situation, and how wanted to
Mhm,
dictate your grade or gave you a on something you thought.
mhm,
But when it's all said and believe that there's
mhm,
no one out there that can stop us from our greatness except for us, right? I believe our
mhm,
greatness, whatever that
mhm,
is us to do in this world, it's sitting there waiting for us. But the only one that can stop us from getting
mhm,
there is us. We will have haters along
mhm,
the way. We will have doubters. We will have people who don't believe in us. We will have people who are given to you by the creator. No one, there's nothing in this world that's strong enough to stop you from walking in your path. The only person
Mhm.
that can stop you from your gift is you. And so
Mhm.
when we consider that now, we can, provided that we can see the value in who we are as men, as women,
Mhm.
as people, provided we can see the
Mhm.
value in who we are, we know that yes, we're going to have obstacles along the way. But when it's all said and done, that thing that I want for myself, that goal, that thing that I want to obtain, I'm the only one that can
Mhm.
stop you from doing that. So yes, teachers will give you that
Mhm.
D, and you'll have maybe
Mhm.
parents you, you'll have friends who laugh at you. You might have those
Mhm.
obstacles along the way,
Mhm.
but nothing can stop me from what is given can stop me. And so when we realize the value of who we are and our bigger purpose on this
Mhm.
planet, then I don't think there's anything in this world that when we keep that in mind, recognizing that nothing can stop you, then that's what's
Mhm.
going to help to keep us on our path,
Mhm.
whatever that looks like.
Mhm.
And again, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard. The path will be difficult at times.
Mhm.
It'll be near impossible. But
Mhm.
again, if that thing is for you,
Mhm.
there's nothing that can stop you from obtaining it.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Right now, I book New Me. Now there are it's 10 men, 10 stories, and it's perseverance. What is the format you use to choose these 10 incredible human beings?
It is a great question. I wanted to ensure that the men who were involved were men of valor,
Mhm.
men of honor,
Mhm.
men who, regardless of anybody was looking or not, I wasn't a status from this book. Really sat back and watched. I prayed, trying to figure out who would be best to share their story
Mhm.
in the book. I
Mhm.
really do believe that
Mhm.
I wanted to find people who are in action, because if you find in action, it shows you
Mhm.
who they are. They say that if your car is broken down on the side of the road, you'll have
Mhm.
1,000 cars that will drive by you on the highway. But the moment you get out and start to push, you'll have people who will pull over and push with you because they
Mhm.
see that you're already in action.
Mhm.
And that's exactly the same concept. I wanted to find somebody who was already active in the community in their own way. Gone
Mhm.
through a lot of
Yeah.
individuals who appeared to be active, appeared to be doing things, appeared to have a
Mhm.
heart of gold. But when I started to dig deeper, I saw it was different. And it's interesting
Mhm.
because social media will
Mhm.
fool you. People put their best out on social
Oh
media.
yes.
Yeah, they're smiling, they're laughing, look all the people I'm helping on social media. And when you dig deeper, none of it is true. So it was digging through that facade to really see who these men were. And so, yes, there was some men that after a while I realized, you know what, these guys aren't the guys for me. Book is bigger than me. I realized that the impact
Yes.
that this book can have is greater than just Jeff. And I let everyone who was
Mhm.
maybe initially asking commitments, then I'm gonna
Mhm.
go, in all honesty, that hurt a few
Mhm.
relationships, but you know, the impact that this had has been tremendous, and I will not do it any other way.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
we donated
Mhm.
some books to a prison, and I got an
Mm.
email maybe about 6 to 8 months later, and it was one of the prison guards, and
Mhm.
she says, "Do you mind? Do you have any other books that you can get to me? The ones that we gave you,
Mhm.
the ones that you gave us, are in really bad shape. They've been
Mhm.
read over and over, hundreds, thousands of times,
Mm. Mm.
months." And I asked her to get a picture of what these books look like. And I got to tell you, the books look like they've been through, these books look, they were 1,000 years old. They bent and just weird and just really in bad shape. And it was
Mm.
such an emotional for me, because it showed me that this book that
Mhm.
was, again, not even a year old at that moment, book
Mhm.
was read over and over and over again. It touched lives of thousands in the prison system. And so
Yeah.
the impact that it's having. And so, again, finding the right
Wow.
guys was important. Yeah, so when it was all said and done, I ensured that the men that we found were men that really could make an impact, and the stories were different from each other, that people who are reading the
Mhm.
book can relate to many of the stories in many different ways. And so
Yes.
I'm just extremely
Yes.
honored that I had the chance to put this book together and bring it to the world.
Yes.
Mandel for the work he's doing. And Joseph, I'm so proud
Yes.
of him. He's out in the US practicing medicine now and is making an
Yes.
impact, just sharing a lot of jokes on social media. I think he's gaining because of the work that he does. So yeah, shout out to those gentlemen.
Yes. Yes. It's a beautiful collection of individuals. So, we all do things because passion really is about role models. We all do something because somebody influenced us. Who was your role model?
I would say that, I can or easily say the Martins of the world were, role models for
Mm,
me. Martin Luther King was had a huge impact as a young man. Whenever they would show clips of the late Martin Luther King, I didn't know who he
mhm,
was. But
mhm,
every time he spoke and it came through that TV, my parents in the
mhm,
house, they stopped what they were doing and they came to watch. And I thought to myself,
mm,
who is
mm,
this man who has such a command that my parents, that they stop whatever they're doing? I could have been on fire. My parents would be like, yeah, just walk it off. But Martin Luther King comes on and they stop what they're doing, stop washing the dishes, stop vacuuming, whatever, to hear what he had to say, whatever
mhm,
past video they were playing. And
mhm,
again, I recognized the impact that he had with his words. And as I grew up in certain was, he influenced in terms of what he did. But for me, I have to say,
mhm,
probably my first influence had to be my parents, specifically my dad. My dad is
mhm,
somebody who always gives
mhm,
back. My dad at the church will
mhm,
get candy and chips and junk food and give it to all
mhm.
the kids in the church, and the kids all know and love him for that. And
Yes.
my dad, that type of person to give back in his own way. And I
Mhm,
think that I have taken
mhm.
it to a different level, but the seed was
Yes.
planted because of my father. And so,
Yes.
both my parents, of course, but specifically my father, I would say had an impact on me in regards to his heart, his benevolence,
Mhm,
his really giving back to the community. And I just found a way of
mhm.
doing it a different way.
Beautiful. Does it make you happy?
100%. I don't think there's anything that makes me happier than giving my heart to others, than giving and sharing to others. I believe it occupies most of my day in terms of trying to find new ways to give to others.
Mhm,
From a speaker who, I'm blessed with the opportunity to travel
mhm,
throughout
mhm,
Canada, throughout the United States, and present to schools and organizations. I'm always thinking about that next story. I'm always thinking about that next thing. I got an email
mhm,
about from a school that's looking to book me. They want to bring me in because they had a young woman who had committed suicide late last year, and they want me to come in and speak to the
mhm,
school.
mhm,
And we haven't even finished making the deal yet, so nothing is
mm,
solidified. But already, I'm putting together what this speech is going to look like, even before it's been booked officially. Again, my heart and my desire is always just trying to help people to become better. And that's what I dedicate my time doing.
mhm,
So whether it be through books, whether it be
mhm,
through speaking, whether it be through some of the training and stuff
mhm,
that I do, it really comes down just to
mhm,
trying to make a difference in our community. And
mhm.
that's what makes me happy. It really is just serving others because I think it's Zig Ziglar, old speaker, who once said,
Yeah.
help people get what they want, then you will
Want.
get what you want. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
that's what I live by.
We need to hear messages like this. Yes, I don't even know what to say. It's I say you just bamboozled my mind.
Oh, wow.
No, because I have been searching for Black people with these positive messages. Yes. how important is mentorship for our children? And if they need mentorship, what are some of the strategic tools you would, you know, encourage them to utilize to get a mentor? And does the mentor has to be the same, race or color or whatever as that person? I know it's three questions in one.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Well, I believe that, regardless if you're young, whether you're old, it doesn't matter where you fall in the age spectrum. I believe that having a mentor in your life is going for leaps and bounds, because that mentor, whatever you're trying to achieve, that mentor has tools and information that is going to push you forward quicker than that mentor had to go. I've been speaking
Mhm,
for about 10
mhm,
years now as a public speaker, and I've made so many
mhm,
mistakes along my way. And if someone is
mhm.
really dedicated to the task of public speaking, I can perhaps, get them to the same position that I am in less than 10 years. Because again,
I
yeah, I love it. I'm able to share, the mistakes and the things that
Mhm,
work with that individual to help to shorten their journey so they can
mhm,
find success quicker. And in
mhm,
regards to, do you need a mentor who's black or who's, whatever that represents, your background? I don't believe you do. I think it's about finding someone or people that are going to help
mhm,
you in that circumstance. So, I don't think you should have one mentor. I think you should have many mentors. If you have
mhm,
three or four goals in life, then you
mhm,
should have mentors that represent that, three or four mentors.
mhm,
Um, One mentor is not going to do it if you have many things you're looking to achieve. And I
mhm,
always say this, your mentor doesn't have to be great in all areas of their life. They just need to be
mhm,
great in the area that you're looking to achieve. So
mhm,
it's okay if your fitness mentor has money issues. That's okay.
mhm,
And it's okay if your financial mentor is overweight and obese. That's okay as
mhm,
well. Because I don't
mhm,
need my financial mentor to be in physical shape. That doesn't matter when he or she is a boss at finding and investing in the area that I
mhm,
need, and then I'll go somewhere else with someone, and it's okay if that person is terrible with their money, because again, they're helping me in the area that I need.
mhm,
So finding a mentor
mhm,
that's going to help you in whatever area of your life, I think is extremely important, to find that person to help you, because it really does cut down on the time that you need. And a
mhm,
mentor, I believe that their job is to expose you to things that you
mhm,
perhaps didn't see, didn't realize, give you a blueprint of what they've been through that's going to help you in your
mhm,
journey. Um, when we can expose young people to things that they never experienced before, and now plants the seed to something else. I got to
mhm,
tell you, Nana, yeah, when I was growing up, there's three things I wanted to be. I wanted to be a rapper, I wanted to be a basketball player, and I wanted to be a pastor. Why is that? Because rappers that I listened to were black. The basketball players I
mhm,
watched in the NBA were black, and my pastor was black. And so, as a young person, I wanted to be one of those three things because that's what I was exposed to. When we can expose our children to people
mhm,
like Dr. Joseph, when we can expose them
mhm,
to lawyers and entrepreneurs and people who are making millions of
mhm,
dollars who look like them or even just resemble them in some sort of way. Maybe it's the same neighborhood. They don't have to be the same. Maybe it's the
mhm,
same neighborhood things
mhm,
ever seen before. This is
mhm.
what we push along this generation.
I'm going to chip in and it's going to make you laugh. So you either wanted to be a pastor, basketball player, or rapper. I think you did it all, but in a different way. Because the collection of this book and all that you doing, if I put a beat to it, you rapping. And I'm already saying hallelujah and amen. So you pastoring. For the
Oh my
basketball,
goodness.
well, it's the words playing on the page. So I don't know what are you talking about. You got it
Okay.
all going for
Okay.
you, Jeff.
I'm liking that. Thank you very much. I never saw it that way. That's good. That's good.
You got it going.
I love that. Thank you.
So you playing the field, trust me. It's how I found you.
Ah, okay, okay. I love that. Thank you so much for that.
And I rest my case. Listen, if you leave me, I think we'll be talking for hours. We'll be talking. I'm really trying to constrain myself because this is an quote unquote interview. But you are so amazing. We will do this again.
Yes, thank you. I'm grateful.
Jeff, thank you so much for saying yes to this conversation.
Yeah, I just want to remind people that no matter what it is they're going through, as I said earlier, and I'll say it again, you are not defined by your mistakes. You are
Mhm,
not defined by the difficulties that you've been through.
mhm,
And recognize that every time you go through a difficulty, every time you get a
mhm,
chance to step out of a difficulty and you're
mhm.
free and you're ready to take on the world, there is someone out there who is just beginning. You are on the
Given, yeah,
very last word in the very last chapter, and there's someone who is just starting that book.
yeah.
Now, because you've come out of that difficulty, you have
Mhm,
keys, you have lessons, you have the ability to enhance your own life, but the life of
mhm,
other people as well.
mhm,
Allow the stories we go through to define us, but we allow them to silence us as well. We
mm,
don't want to talk about the mistakes we made. We don't want to talk about the difficulties. And I understand it. I get it. But every time we stay silent, there's someone else who's in that journey who doesn't have the information.
mhm,
You have information. Imagine someone is in a desert.
mhm,
Imagine that person is yearning for water for survival, and you have a bottle of water and you refuse to give them that water.
mhm,
It's the same thing when you hold on to information and you don't share it. Your
mm,
information, the things that you've been through, your knowledge
mhm,
is the key to somebody
mhm,
else's lock. It is
mhm,
the key to somebody else's lock. So
mhm,
as you step out of your difficulty, recognize that you now have a platform to speak from that you could never speak from before. You have
mhm,
an opportunity to speak about something that you could never speak about before because you now have gone
mhm,
through it, you've conquered it, and you've
mhm,
come out to the other side. So use those lessons to better yourself, but use it to make this world better because somebody needs you to stand up and say, Me too. Someone needs you to stand up and say, I've been through that as well. And
mhm,
this is what I used through
mhm.
it.
Any last, any last advice in coaching, motivation, inspiration you have for my viewers?
You have the ability to make an impact. Excuse me. You don't need a big stage. You don't need to write a book. You don't need a podcast. If you have those things, that's fabulous. But it simply just starts by you opening your mouth and speaking to people around you to let them know that I have conquered this problem and I can help you if you're going through it as well. We all have the ability to make a change. That starts by making that decision to share your story.
Beautiful ending to a beautiful show. Guys, this has been the Nana Yayebua show. If you have not subscribed, please do so. When I'm in the middle, I cannot tell you how grateful I am from the deepest part of my heart, my soul, my spirit, of my whole being. My brother,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
grateful. I'm
May the
grateful. Thank you.
ancestors, the creator, keep you in his loving or her loving mercy. Continue doing this work because thank
Oh, thank you.